Hello and welcome to School News, which is brought to you by the Olathe School District. I'm Loralee Baker-Rapue, your host. This is the time of year when the district honors many of its outstanding teachers through a special process in which all the school buildings participate. First, the faculty at each school selects their nominees for Kansas Teacher of the Year and for the Emporia State University Master Teacher of the Year. All those names and applications are then forwarded to a district committee which evaluates the candidates and then selects semifinalists in each area for both primary and secondary levels. Now let's take a look at those great teachers.
I'm Sandra Ames. I am a library media specialist at Heatherstone Elementary School. I opened the building in 1995.
My name is Josh Anderson. I teach language arts, debate, and forensics at Olathe Northwest. This is my third year there.
Well, I'm Tom Berry. I'm principal at Olathe East High School. This is my 6th year as principal at Olathe East.
Brent Cherry, and I've been at Prairie Center since 1989, and I've been in 4th grade since 1994, so for 11 years I've been teaching there.
My name's Jennifer Delp. I teach 1st grade at Mahaffey Elementary. I've been at Mahaffey for 4 years, but I've taught 1st grade for 12 years.
My name is Lainey Fasulo, and I'm the speech-language pathologist at Meadow Lane, and I have been at Meadow Lane for 15 years, which is the tenure of the time that I've been in the Olathe District Schools.
My name is Lori Franklin, and I'm the library media specialist at Prairie Trail Junior High School, and I've been there 2 years. We opened just a year ago. It's my 2nd year, and I also was at Green Springs Elementary for 6 years prior to that.
Monica McWhorter, and I'm teaching at Pioneer Trail Junior High. I teach 9th grade. And this is my 5th year at Pioneer Trail, 5th year in Olathe.
My name is Connie Neiman. I teach at Olathe North. I teach Family and Consumer Science, and I've been at Olathe North for 5 years.
I'm Cindy Nitschke. I teach at Olathe South High School. I've been there approximately 18 years.
My name is Kelly Ulmer, and I teach 4th grade at Central Elementary, and this is my 5th year at Central Elementary teaching 4th grade.
I am Libby Jean Whittle. I am at Ravenwood Elementary, the new elementary to our district, so it's my 1st year there, and it is my 1st year to the district. I am the music teacher. I teach pre-K through 6th grade.
We are going to start another new unit, and the new unit is called Trip in Time Postcard.
When they come in library, what takes place is that we have benchmarks, curriculum, just like any classroom. And what we try to accomplish is to meet those benchmarks and the curriculum. But most of all, what I personally like is the dealing with the learning. Having the kids be able to come in and have strategies in order to facilitate their inquiry. And I actually think learning and teaching is, well, as you know, is a cyclical thing.
So let's find out where you would like to go in history.
1920s.
Tell me why.
What they need to do is have an awareness of history in 5th grade. They are also working on textual structures, and so the 5th grade teachers always want me to interweave textual structures whatever we do. So they're going to make a postcard.
You can say the year Abraham Lincoln was selected president, and then you can research it.
I said, okay, in a postcard, what do you see? Oh, there's a picture on one side and some type of correspondence on the other. I said, perfect. I said, that's what we're going to make. But you're going to travel any place in time. You decide wherever you want to go, and you're going to research that 1 year. And then you're going to warp back, and you're going to make a postcard to your friends about that experience. You will be a time traveler and present a postcard. And so what's really interesting about that is they're going to have to research photos, but they're going to have to use the text structures, which will be a cause and effect, or a comparison contrast, or a sequence, or a description, or a problem and solution. Those are the 5 textual structures.
See number 3, it says student identifies text structures. Oh, you guys have been working on this text structure thing.
And so they're going to have to put that into their writing in that narrative of what happened to them in that time. And so it's going to be so exciting.
The sky was gray from all of the coal burning stoves, It smelled as if the trash was right outside my door. Oh, it was right outside my door. Oh, that's right. In my time frame, they take the trash and throw it out the window and hope that it washes away. Do you see what I'm talking about? Description. When you do description, make sure you're looking at the senses around you. You're actually describing where you're at. So that would be description writing.
Forward, roll, and forward, rotate. And forward. And back, back, forward, forward. Back, back, forward, forward. Super fast.
I only see them twice a week for 30 minutes. It's not like they're getting music every day, all day long. So we review what we've done before so that we can remember it and build upon it. So you'll see like us taking our posture. We do a little dance number, sing and dance. And then they bow for us. That means they're thanking the audience because we have to practice stage etiquette.
Will you give me a big thank you?
Did I shine my shoes today? Why, yes, I shined my shoes today.
You'll see us practicing the beat and the rhythm. We practice note values. My first graders are so very, very smart. They know whole notes, half notes, quarter notes, eighth notes. They know the value, the math behind the notes. So we relate it to math. We put it not only in our hands and in our head, but also in our feet. We're starting to move it to our feet.
My voice, my voice, my very own voice.
Excellent job. Now, I see that we have a leader in here. Come on down, Mr. Austin. Give your undivided attention to Mr. Austin here as he is our musical leader today. Are we ready? Here we go.
This is my speaking voice. This is my speaking voice. I use it every day. I use it every day. This is my whisper voice. This is my whisper voice. It's soft, don't you say? It's soft, don't you say? This is my shouting voice. This is my shouting voice. I use it to shout. I use it to shout.
It's an expression of the soul. It lets your emotions out in a positive way. Whether you're happy or sad, you can feel the music and become happier or express yourself in a positive way. And music is very helpful to the mind and learning in that you use multiple senses. It's very mathematical. It uses language arts. It's a reading, notes, it's symbols just like letters would be, which I teach the children. So it's just a really overall experience that ties in what they're doing in the classroom in more of a fun, maybe way that's not just adding 2 + 2 is 4.
Because the beat is steady. The beat is steady. And the rhythm is the pattern of the words.
All the resources here are fantastic.
Whoa, step on the brakes. What is this note?
I have the Interwrite pad, and with that, I can project anything that I create on the computer. I can write on my pad and project it onto the screen. And I've made several programs ahead of time so that it's more efficient, it's more engaging for the learner.
I'm ready, go. Really deep. Woohoo! We made it.
And it's just so much more fun to have it right there on the screen. And the students read the notes as they go along, whether it be whole notes or half notes or quarter notes or eighth notes. They can read the lyrics, they can see the music.
How many sounds are we going to put in that foot? 4. Are you ready? Here we go.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Which way is greater than points?
Right way.
It's that way. Okay, so when I say something's less than something, you'll know what I'm talking about, right?
Yep.
Okay. Number 22. X is less than -5. This is my geometry class, 9th graders. It's a kind of at a challenging time. We're going over properties of triangles, and they've had some confusion about one particular thing that I review, and then going over new material. When we do this, we have to do 2 cases, right? Positive and negative. So we would have to say 11x minus 11 is greater than or equal to 33, and 11x minus 11 is less than or equal to -33. Did you do that?
No.
that's where Is that where you went wrong?
Yeah, that's where I went
So what did you do instead?
And I didn't switch the inequality sign, and I did the negative.
I was also fortunate to be one of the teachers in my building who got a smart classroom started installed, and so I'll be using the iWrite pad to go over my notes with the kids. And we know that corresponding parts of congruent triangles are congruent, so that would be our final reason for this proof. But to get there, we have to show that the two triangles are congruent. One of the challenges is getting them to understand that they can do it. Most of this year is an exception, but in years past I've had students who struggled with math, and showing them that I can help them to learn it and that they can do it has been one of the biggest challenges. This year with the geometry class, some of them still struggle a bit with it, but just getting them to understand, I am there whenever they need me to come and get help. They can come see me if they need help, and I usually have about a handful who take advantage of that. So we've got to get there, and one way we can get there is first we got to show the two triangles are congruent. Because if we can show the two triangles congruent, then we can show that MA and AT are congruent, and then we can say A is the midpoint by definition midpoint.
So I'm here today to talk to you about taking note of your experiences and what's shaping you so that you begin to think about yourself as a leader, because I didn't think that way. I was put into leadership positions because, number one, I worked pretty hard in education. Number two, I worked pretty hard on the job. And then number three, I was brought up to be a very moral person. As a principal, I get to do a little bit of everything, and I like that. I like the idea that I'm not tied down to any one thing every day to this moment by moment or hour by hour. I like the idea that I can be a leader, that I have the opportunity to affect overall the instruction and the learning that takes place in my school. I like the idea that I have the opportunity to help my district. Olathe is such a great school district, and yet I feel like I have at times had some things that I could offer and help in regards to helping our district become better as well. Do those terms fit what leadership is, especially here in America in the 21st century? In some ways, yes, but in some ways, these much more represent what leadership really is to us. And I'm here to probably tell you I'm on this side of the board, folks. This is where I'm at when I take a look at leadership. If you get a chance to work with our kids, then it becomes very apparent that you have a great opportunity to help young people, and you become very proud, not only of the students, but also the entire school, because those students do so many great things. Our staff does so many great things for our school and community. Then it becomes a great source of pride, and you feel like that you've had some mark in the world, that you've maybe helped people, and I think that's why we get into this profession in the first place, is because you want to help people. So those things shaped me to become what I am today. And do you think people thought I was going to become what I am today, with a doctorate degree, running a school with a several $million-dollar budget, 170 people working for me, 1,400 students, 2,800 parents, part of the district leadership team? What do you think people say when I go home and I tell them what I'm doing?
And then, once you've done that, then you've got maybe 2 categories, maybe 3 categories, depending on how you saw those ideas fitting together. Then you're going to figure out which of those ideas are most important.
It's somewhat intrinsic, because I feel like I am a teacher, not that I work at being a teacher. That's not my job, it's who I am. I like to see kids succeed. I like to see the students get excited about learning. I want them to be lifelong learners, and quite honestly, I think that means empowering them, or making them understand that knowledge is power.
I'm not locking you in, because they're obviously, I've chosen them because there are some similarities, but they have to do with something. I might suggest to you that you think back to yesterday about our discussion of Rome and the Republic, and what happened in the Republic, and the threads of themes and activities and actions and events that took place.
It's not so much the fun part of it that makes a lifelong learner, I don't think. It's the idea that, look what I've mastered, and look what it allows me to do. And so I really try to have high expectations for them, so that when they begin to see connections, they have acquired enough knowledge, they begin to see connections with their other courses and other parts of their lives, then they become excited too.
So the next step in this particular case, Kayla, what was the next step?
An example for just my world history sophomores, which is it's a little harder for them. They haven't got the world experience yet to make as many connections, but even they were excited when they could see that we were studying Mesopotamia and we were talking about Gilgamesh and some of the other pieces of literature with that, and at the same time in their world lit classes they were talking about and reading the same things. So then they get very, very excited and they begin to see that this framework of learning is actually something that gives them power. So that's really, I think, more than anything what it is.
When we used to teach foods, we just cooked food and we would judge them on what kind of quality the pie was and that kind of thing. And now it's more the science behind it and more the job-related skills that they can learn from that.
A metal spatula might be better to level it off if you're having trouble. Looks good. Yep. I'll take this and clean it a little bit off the edges and you're in.
I think it's easier to learn with hands-on learning. I think just to memorize a term is really, hard for a student to remember, but if they can apply it and do something with it, it really makes it come to life.
Remember to put them in the pan and remember to wipe off the sides so they don't run up on the edges. Just use a paper towel.
Where the students are going to be making food for a group of people, and we include this in our curriculum so that they can understand the importance of safety and handling food and that kind of thing for other people. The sanitation that's involved. And
don't forget to disinfect those counters when you're done washing them.
They'll have to wrap the food and that kind of thing on the day after they bake it. So they're actually making the food they're going to give to someone else on the day that we'll be having that lesson.
Okay, yesterday we were busy beavers. Yesterday we went to music. What day was yesterday? Miss Kelsey?
Monday.
It was. Yesterday was Monday. If you look at the 7 and then your eyes go up, you see that that's under Monday. Thanks, ma'am. Good stretch. Okay, I wonder what today is.
You might be getting the tail end of calendar time, and that's important. You could hit a lot of math concepts really quick. Yesterday, today, tomorrow, we tallied. We do odd and even, money. So you can go really quick and still see who has an idea, who doesn't have an idea. Then we'll move from calendar probably into phonics. Everybody needs phonics. I have a lot of little visual readers, but they need to know that there's other tools to try to crack the code for reading, and they need to know how to sound things out. So we move right into a phonics lesson.
Are you ready? Now you have to look at the beginning sound before you put the ang at the end of it.
Gang.
I'm going to skip this one for a second. We'll come back to it.
I'm always amazed how much we ask our first graders to do, but then when we go in and teach the lessons, I'm always pleasantly surprised that they can do it.
Up here, there's 2 sounds you have to make, so let's just make this sound first. Ooh. Now we'll do it together. Oh, you guys are good. Now ready?
Well, we hope that they have all of their sounds when they come to us from kindergarten. This year, 59% of our kindergartners did not. So what we do is you review quickly the sounds. Sometimes it can't be quickly. You'll have little ones that are a little bit behind, but you don't worry, because then you do tiered grouping. Then the next thing they need to master is their kindergarten sight words. They're like 32 of the 100 Dolch list, the most frequently seen words. And if they can master those 100 sight words,
all of a sudden, miraculously, they're at a call level 6 or 7. So what you have to do is first make sure everybody has their sounds, and then you get started. And the fun thing is you'll see there's going to be some little ones that are already reading like crazy. I even have 2 little girls that are reading at a 2nd grade level. So you start getting them books and comprehension questions, and you get those groups going. And then the little ones that don't know your sound still, you're flashing cards, sending home homework. So it would be nice if you could cut yourself into 5 different parts when you teach 1st grade sometimes. But
and make sure one of you is the student, one of you is the teacher. Teacher, you can't be taking a nap. You've got to make sure your student is doing a good job reading. And if your student needs help, what do you need to do? Help them. That's right. Here we go.
Divide, multiply, subtract, check, bring down. Divide, multiply, subtract, check, bring down. Divide, multiply, subtract, check, bring down. Long division is losing ground.
Awesome. Good job. We got to this off. Okay. You guys, you've been doing such a great job with long division, but it is a skill that we need to review and review and review to make sure that we've really got it.
I like to really focus with my students on accountability, and especially with that piece I like to focus on just having students recognizing their potential and understanding what it takes to meet that potential and how that evolves so much into other elements and aspects of their life.
John was just saying something. He goes, oh, I just spun a 1. Why is he bummed out that he just spun a 1?
A lot of times I feel like kids, they don't think that they can, or they don't believe in themselves because they've never seen the glimmer or what they are actually capable of. And so we do a lot of goal setting in the classroom. We use a lot of the district and state assessments to do that, to just show them how you can, look at where you currently are and then set a goal for where you'd like to be, and then look and measure that systematically throughout the year.
15, 18.
And my job, I feel like, is to provide tools for each individual child. If this is my goal, then what do I need to do to reach that goal? And then as the teacher, what can I do to support you in that? And we actually are also supporting each other through extended learning opportunities, through working with one another as peers, whatever it takes so that we work as a team to help each individual reach their goal.
Is the 3 less than the 5? Bring the next number down. No more numbers. So the 3 is my idly. You want a remainder in this game because having a remainder tells me how many places I get to move on the game board. My remainder was 3, so I move 1, 2, 3. So next time it's my turn, I'm going to be on 48. So then it would be Miguel's turn.
We've been reviewing long division, and so the kids are really doing pretty well. I'm pretty excited. I've kind of grouped the kids so that if there's one that's struggling a little bit more with one that's achieving a little bit better, that they can maybe help each other that way. And we're just doing a math game called Remainder Race. And so it's just a long division activity. So you'll see us review the steps of the long division process and then just play a game to reinforce that.
Cody, 49 divided by 7 equals, is that right?
And now it's my pleasure to introduce the 4 finalists selected by the district nominating committee. And those are Brent Cherry, 4th grade teacher at Prairie Center Elementary School, and Josh Anderson, language arts teacher at Olathe Northwest High School, who are the district finalists for Kansas Teacher of the Year, and Lainey Fasulo, speech-language pathologist at Meadow Lane Elementary, and Lori Franklin, library media specialist at Prairie Trail Junior High, who are the 2 district finalists for the Master Teacher of the Year. Please enjoy watching these.
Let's stop so we can share. Now, Elena, it's nice to have Elena. Welcome to our room. We've already welcomed you several times.
In my room, we don't have fun, and we don't have games. We have learning activities. And so it's right about this time of year when they realize that we really do have fun and we do play games. But it's kind of nice that they, we always start off and this is the way it's going to be and kind of make it structured. And so instead of having fun, we have enough, which is fun backwards. It's kind of a play and work.
So do you think that there might be siblings in our stories, guys? Yeah. Okay, let's go on to our next one. Does your sibling get away with more than you? Yeah. Thumbs up for yes. Thumbs down if they don't. Okay, let's look at our first question. Why is it that your sibling doesn't have to follow the rules, but yet you do? Talk in your groups. Talk in your groups.
Well, yeah, we'll go through clues about, we're asking questions to them about, like, what's a sibling, you know, how many different types of buildings are there that a person can live in, because our story takes place in New York City in an apartment, which is completely different from Olathe, you know, tall, high-rise apartment buildings. So we'll be talking about those things and troubles that the main character will have.
Because they're curious. They want to test stuff.
There you go. Oh, yeah. Is they're older, they get away?
It's a lot of work involving with the parents. I mean, you need parents to help out. We come up with some ideas in our classrooms. We have individual groups, cooperation, little breakout groups. We have lots of volunteers at Prairie Center, parents who will come in and help. And that always helps when they can just work a few kids at a time to try to reinforce those skills and concepts that they may be having trouble with. So I think it's a combination of parents and students and a great staff at Prairie Center and the resource that the district has for us.
Is that it's funny. It like goes up my ladder and then it slides down my slide.
The words you gave me for your roll call answer told me a very specific word about the book you're reading. That word should have been very carefully chosen, was it? Some of your words were big words, and some of them were more slang words. So let's talk about diction, and this will be the time that you turn to your document. It used to be that education was the teacher standing in front of the room, taking responsibility for all the students. And you know, that was in an age where most of the students didn't necessarily graduate. Most of the students didn't get the education they needed. And so now we have fewer mainstream students, but we're addressing the diversity of needs that our students bring to the classroom. And I can't do that alone, nor should I be expected to, nor would I want to. So my job oftentimes, in addition to teaching during the day, is to collaborate with so many other people, the parents, special education, administrators, members of the community, social workers, psychologists. Those are the people who help me do my job, and I help them do their job to make sure that the student is as prepared as possible. All right, first word we're going to introduce is jargon. We'll talk about that in a moment. Next word?
Idiom.
All right, do you know what idioms are? Yeah, okay. Next word? Colloquialisms.
Expressions and slang.
And slang. And it's an introductory lesson. This is the first time that they've heard diction. And the idea is to get them to see that language is malleable, that it's not forced into just everybody must talk like this, or to say that talking like this is unacceptable. It's to get the idea that sometimes you talk and write like this, sometimes you talk like this. And the idea is to get students to be prepared to live in both worlds. Name for me a time when you would never use slang.
In church.
In church, maybe. Where else? During an interview, in your Scarlet Letter essay. Your parents. Speech. In a speech. Interviews, good. So you know there's time when you use high diction and low diction. I may be one of the few teachers who think that there's a lot of good in No Child Left Behind. The assessment piece sometimes leaves some things to be desired. But I don't think any teacher could rightly say, I'm okay with leaving some students behind. I'm okay with just 85% of my kids doing well. I think all teachers in their heart know that when there's a student struggling who's not making, whether you call it adequate yearly progress or whether you call it up to par, can't sit still and let that child just fall further and further behind. And I think that this federal law allows us to move forward in our initiatives locally that help address that. When we read Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, fourth quarter, you will see entire pages of dialect. Buried in those pages of dialect will be what? Colloquialisms. Do you understand? So, Venn diagram, dialect, colloquialisms. Are you with me? Okay.
What was the next part of Altown?
Here
we go, Valley. We had Round Hill. And remember how many were in Round Hill? O-O-oo. How many? Three. Andy, come put our friends up on Smile Hill, or Round Hill.
Well, most what we do is support children in the classroom so that they can be successful in the classroom. You know, one of the most frustrating things about a school-based speech pathologist is that we kind of have to be a generalist and we have to know it all, whereas if you're in a hospital setting, you get to specialize, whether it's fluency or working with stroke victims or head injuries. But in the schools, we work with articulation disorders, we work with language disorders, being able to follow directions, being able to pass those state assessments by knowing how to reason through situations, by being able to follow a format to either true and false, or so there's just a whole variety of things that speech pathologists do, and never boring.
So the bus driver starts driving along. Little boy comes to the front of the bus and he says, "What's your name?" And the little boy says,
well, this is a program called Pathways to Reading, and this program is to help students who are emergent readers or reluctant readers. And what I've done is I've taken this program into a second grade classroom to review all the vowels, because when kids learn to read, that is the area that seems to be the hardest for them to grasp.
Everybody take a look at this vowel. What does he say? Ooh, I'm hearing ooh and I'm hearing Which one do you think? Oh, you're right. He says He says okay. Where do you think he's going to ride? Sound bus. Why is he not going to ride on the name bus, Sheldon?
And so we do a couple of lessons on the vowel town, and it helps them understand how vowels work and how the position of your mouth determines what vowel is being made, and it just gives them a nice visual to go along so that when they're reading and writing in the classroom, they have a reference point for those vowels.
And she says, A. And he says, what neighborhood do you live in? And she says, Smile Hill. Smile Hill. And he says, well, tell me when to stop.
Okay, if you were here last year, you have heard this spiel, but I'm just going to throw it out there. What is plagiarism?
That's one of my rewards of my job. I get to know every single student in the whole school, and because I collaborate closely with teachers, I get to see those kids a lot. This week, for example, we're doing the Russian Revolution with every 9th grader. So I get the opportunity to sit down and really talk to them about the research they're doing, help them with their bibliographic citation, those types of things. But also, I'm very lucky in that the kids have a comfort zone in my library. They see it as a welcoming, warm place to go, and they're in there every single day.
I guess what I'm trying to say is don't even bother going there. I will hunt down plagiarists. I enjoy doing that. When I heard about these 2 papers, I thought, great, this is a great chance to make a point with those students to let them know that that's not acceptable.
A big reason is that we have the ability, as if you would call it the central hub of the school, to reach out to everybody in the entire school, to be an assistant with teaching, to help with assessments, to make sure that we are there as a support system to every single instructional person in that school, which in turn affects all the children in the school.
I'm going to show you some examples of plagiarism, and what we just heard is exactly right on.
What I'm going to be doing is talking with them about plagiarism, which is a huge part of what I do at Prairie Trail. It's a very big piece to the whole research process, in my opinion. And I actually have a 3-year plagiarism plan, if you can believe that, and it starts in 7th grade, so we're building on that in 8th grade and continuing to build in 9th grade.
If you've ever bought or borrowed a paper, people do that. If you've ever cut and pasted right from the computer right to your paper, that's an act of plagiarism.
These guys will get another hit at the plagiarism talk and a discussion about why it's important not to plagiarize, how to recognize when you are plagiarizing, even if you don't mean to. And we'll also talk about citing sources, which nobody enjoys citing sources. I totally understand that. I didn't enjoy doing it in high school and college, but it's something that we have to do. And I'll be discussing the MLA format with them and how to do that, and kind of getting the project kicked off with the other 2 teachers that I'm teaching it with.
Changing words is also considered plagiarism. If you just take the first part of the sentence and flip it with the second part of the sentence, that's not okay. You need to put in your own words, but Mr. Troxel is going to kind of show you how to do that.
Well, the reason I decided to go into teaching was just that I really knew I wanted to do something meaningful in my life. I wanted to be able to, leave this world saying that I'd done something productive and meaningful with my life.